All right, we are on a trout and salmon stream today. This is a big turn that was really influenced by a complex of large woody debris, and we had a number, about 7 actually since the fall, bank full discharge events where the water was even going into the floodplain. It blew this area out, and as you can see, this channel is kind of splitting around, and they've basically it's formed an island. There's lots of substrate piling up down below, but unfortunately when this section blew out, it kind of dropped the depth of the pool above it, and we're a little concerned that as that adjustment is made, as it moves up, works its way upstream, that some of that newly deposited gravel we have upstream, where we had salmon spawning, it may not hold, and it may start to become mobile in high water events. So ideally we would find a way to get this not necessarily into a single channel, but to back up the level of flow here, create a deeper pool above it, and it'll also recharge the groundwater table downstream. And there's a spring coming in here. Now, the nice thing about this spring, it runs a little warmer all winter than the main channel, and it runs colder in the summer than the main channel. So it's a nice refuge for fish. If we can get this pool deeper, it'll allow for a nice plume of cold water to hold up behind the dam. So what we're going to do is we're actually just going to take some alders that we had cut as part of a fencing project on the farm. We're going to put them along the top of the bank here and allow the beavers to incorporate that material into this area, because I'm pretty sure that they'll go back to this. When this had blown out a couple of years ago, that big log was positioned straight across, and when it blew out and it kind of got fixed in that position, the beavers did come back and they built this up 2 or 3 feet, and that got blown out last year. So we're going to allow these beavers, nothing is settled here permanently, but we've got the type of channel morphology here where we got a split channel, some saturated ground on both sides, lots of regenerative shrubs, herbaceous vegetation, I should say. So if we can just give these beavers some access to the material they need, I suspect that one of them is going to settle here and do this work for us. Now, this time of year, the beavers as a family unit are beginning to disperse. The little cubs are going to be born soon, and that means the juveniles that are halfway towards maturity are going to get pushed out of the home, and that's a perfect opportunity to have a bunch of alders and material. Not only does it provide food, this is really what they want, but it allows them to gather a lot of material quickly. And so their main predator is, well, probably coyotes. So if we can give them some access to some stuff, just drop it in the water. We're going to put about 40 or 50 of those in here, and just see what happens. It's a really hands-off approach to doing anything. We have to cut some shrubs down. We have to, unfortunately, in some sense, get a little bit close to the brook here with a laneway to move our cattle across the farm, but you have to work within the landscape. And anyone who thinks that we should be totally excluded from the floodplain in those areas doesn't quite fully grasp the intricacies of running a farm, managing land across the landscape. It makes no sense for us to leave 30 or 40% of our farm inactive and unmanaged because we can't have a 20-meter laneway through a wet area. The cows will never be parked here permanently. This is just to move them from one pasture to a next. And I think the philosophical argument there is, Well, if we don't do this, have a small impact, and therefore take a lot of our land out of production, we're externalizing that production somewhere else, which means we're relying on food being shipped in, burning fossil fuels coming from all over the place, grown certainly with less environmental standards than we employ on our farm. So that's how we justify it, if anybody's wondering why we're cutting a few trees within the riparian zone. So that's the video. We'll return here in a few months. It's easy to monitor. It's right by the barn. And we'll see what the beavers do with what we give them.